Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. Look, I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with a topic session with my guy, Mr. Robert Harper II. Man, and as you know, every session that this guy's on is gonna be hot. So just get ready. But man, today we're gonna hit on how to handle change.
Yeah.
And man, I think we both have been through some things in our lives, and I think it's awesome when we can share our experiences and to help others. And so again, man, always I'm thankful to hang out with you and do these heat sessions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, what's on your heart, man, about the handling change today?
Well, I thought about that because of the climate that we're in, man. The climate of just going through the pandemic and everything that that brings about, the change, the transition, people adjusting not only to the coronavirus and the pandemic, but also after, right? So people are going to try to figure out how do I adjust? How do I get back to what normal looks like after this transition? So, that's what I was, that's what I think about, especially during these particular times.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's really important for us to understand that if we're in this particular time, anytime you're in a season of change or a season of transition, that you're very intentional, about what you say and are very intentional about what you do. We know words are powerful, and so in order to speak those kind of words that can usher us into a better place mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we need to do that because we're in times of change, man. It's a level of uncertainty, and so just saying words of hope, believing,
Yeah.
dreaming again, all of those kind of words, I think they're kind of forward thinking instead of us dwelling in our present situation. So
I
I think
love
it's really
that.
to be very intentional.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think for me, when you say the word change, the constant, I think, as far as change, is that change is going to happen.
For sure.
I don't know, I don't care the situation, who you are. We're all going to have change in our life, and I think that your perspective and your attitude towards the change determines the outcome.
Yeah.
And so when we can have the proper perspective and have a positive attitude toward it, I think when we get on the other side of it, we will be able to say that a wonderful change has come over me.
Right.
What you know about that?
Yeah. I wonder. No, I know about it.
What you know about that?
Old school, right?
Yeah.
But I think you hit it on the nail about perspective, man.
Yeah.
About perspective is everything. I was thinking just the other day. I was like, man, people don't really stop or quit in life because of what happens to them. I think people just stop. They get paralyzed. They quit. They park because they don't know how to make the proper perspective in the midst of the change or the transition that's going on. We get stuck on how it's always been, or this is what it used to be, and so they can't make the transition. I was at this job for years, and now I'm being laid off, and so sometimes they get stuck right there, and they don't do anything else to enhance their skill set or enhance their gifts and their abilities. They don't go out into the workforce again to try to improve. People get stuck in a relationship. They've been in that relationship for years, and so now that relationship is no more, they get stuck, they get paralyzed. It's not so much what happened to them, it's that they didn't have the perspective change. They didn't shift, that perspective in order for them to be able to get to the next level in life. I was just thinking about this the other day. It's funny that you mentioned the word shift, because the story with my sister, man, when we were growing up, she's about a little more than 8 years older than me. So, but she always took me places, man. We hung out a lot. And I was a teenager. She took me somewhere, and in her car, she drove this beautiful Mustang, man. It was a silver Mustang, really fast. And I asked her a question. I say, why do you keep moving your hand like this in the car, And she was like, I'm shifting, gears. And so I said, well, what happens when you don't shift? And she said, if I don't shift, or if I fail to shift, then I won't be able to go as fast. And eventually I will destroy the engine. And so I was just talking to someone the other day. I said, man, that's so key, because if we don't shift, we won't be able to go as fast at the next level. We won't be efficient at the next level we're trying to go to in our lives, whatever that area may be, professionally or personally, privately or publicly. If we don't make that shift, we won't be able to go as fast. And sometimes as well, when we don't shift, we will end up destroying, that engine, that inner engine that drives us towards whatever we want in life. And so we have to be able to shift so that we can be able to operate at that next level. And I'm big on this, whether publicly or privately, because I believe that there's something on the inside of us that erodes when we are just living a public life, but we're of success, but we're living a private life of failure. So I think there's something inside of us that erodes. We know that that's not okay. And so I'm very key. Like, we got to make that shift, change of perspective. We're not going to be perfect, but just really striving after the things that we call our values and our principles in life.
I love that. I love that analogy. And I wholeheartedly agree. We have to make those shifts. But then I'm going to take it even further off of that analogy. As you were saying that, it made me think of, my first car was a little Mazda RX-7, right?
Okay.
And, two-door small car, the hand-me-down from my dad. He got it when it was new. But when I got it, I think the car was like 13 years old or something like that. He had it redone, and gave it to me,
Sure.
And and it was a stick shift as well. And so I was thinking about instances of being on a hill, visualizing, okay, here's change, here's some adversity. And once you, put it in that first or whatever, there's some pedal play that you have to work with, right?
Yeah.
And so with your right foot, you're going to have to give it some gas. And with the left foot, you're going to have to ease off the clutch until you're about balanced so you can make it up that hill, if you will. And so, in our life, we have to pedal. We have to give it some gas, once we figure out that perspective. In order for us to grow through and get up the hill, we have to take some actions. We have to press the gas. We have to do those things. But then also, as we're going up that hill, I think that clutch emulates our principles, our perspectives, the things that we believe in. And so, as we are pressing the gas, there's some things that we're going to have to, okay, so, is this within my principles? Do I believe in this? Is it something that, I feel like I could step outside a little bit of, to get that even keel? And I think when we can, fully get to that place where we're even with, what we're putting in, what we're thinking, how we feel about it, our core common principles, it will allow us to get through that change, up that hill, past that adversity. And then, once we get through that, then we can just press that gas like it's nothing. Let's go.
I love that, man. I love it because you probably personally had that experience with the stick shift and the variation of everything that going like that. I love that analogy, man, because you have to navigate as you're moving forward, as you're progressing, as you're going up the ladder of success, whatever that looks like for you. you're
Yeah.
gonna have to make you're gonna have to look at and view the decisions that you're making. Does this align with my principles and my values and everything like that? And so that's beautiful, man. I like how you made that analogy there. And so what it made me think about is that, okay, we have to press that gas. We have to be offensive. We have to start putting some force behind what we do, even in the midst of this coronavirus, because it's so important that we do that. Because a lot of times in life, what happens is that we're so defensive minded, right? And so we're always reacting to whatever happens to us, right? And so I just believe that if you don't act upon life, life will act upon you. And so if you don't like become offensive minded, say, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna figure out how can I use this time to change my perspective or optimize this time with my children during this coronavirus. How can I use this time to adjust my relationship that are important to me, adjust my priorities that I believe that I hold valuable to me. And so just using this time to not just saying, okay, the coronavirus is affecting me, but I'm going to start affecting what's going on around me. It's so key. It's like having that kind of mentality to say, okay, I'm going to be offensive minded. What can I get out of this particular time and moment in my life? I posted something not too long ago on Facebook, and it said basically, what a tragedy it would be if we are the same after God delivers us from this, right? After God delivers us from this, what a tragedy it would be if we're the same. And so what I'm thinking about now is how can we shift? How can we change? How can we develop during this particular time? Not necessarily what's going on, but what am I becoming as a result of what's going on in my life? I think it's so key that whenever we go through a change, anytime we go through a transitional moment in our lives, that we focus on not so much the opposition, but the opportunity that's coming from the opposition, right? That we don't focus so much on the pain, but we focus in on the purpose, right? That knowing that the pain is leading me or ushering me into my purpose, or even the affliction. The affliction is leading me or is necessary so that it can get my attention. I think these are just shifts in perspective, because we think about, oh, this is affliction, oh, this is pain, this is this opposition, then we'll get stuck. And so if you can shift from a mindset that says, okay, no, not opposition is leading me into my opportunity, not pain, not just pain, but the pain is leading me or ushering me into my purpose, and not just affliction, but the affliction is needed to get my attention in the season of my life, right? And so I think just the shift, the change of mentality is so key if we're going to be able to navigate through this particular time right now. With the coronavirus, pandemic, or any change, any transition, it's so necessary, man. Just a shift of mentality, a shift in perspective.
Yeah, I love that. When you look at how you broke that down, I love that, because I'm a simple guy. I'm a formula. I'm a system guy, and I love that when we break down the perspective, shift in perspective from opposition to opportunity, from pain to purpose, from affliction to attention. And I think that those are great things, because really, where your focus goes is where your energy flows.
Come on.
And where your energy flows is where your focus goes. Right. And so it's important to make sure that you're focusing on the right things with the proper perspective. And I think I've shared this quote with you before, from Inky Johnson. I love it, man. He said, how you view what you do will affect how you do what you do.
That's good, man.
And so, I mean, whatever perspective that you're thinking, well, guess what? That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so it starts with you. And I kind of have some, like I said, I'm a process guy. I have some steps that, that I like to take, when handling change, or that I feel that it's important. If you don't mind, I'll share those. Did you have any other points you wanted to hit on before we do that?
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So for me, I think first we have to look within to win. And I'm gonna go Michael Jackson on you. I think you have to start with the man in the mirror, and you have to ask him to change his ways, and so if you're looking to make change, like I said, change is a constant. So change is going to happen. So you have to always, be evaluating yourself to see, where you are with things. Like I explained in the car analogy, does it align with my core common principles? Is it something that I'm willing to um, step out of my safe zone to be involved with, which will allow me to have opportunities on the other end of it? So you have to evaluate yourself. And then I think the next thing is, hold on to those core common principles of what you believe in, because the ability to say no to some things is allowing you the opportunity to say yes to some things that are important to you. And so it's important to make sure that you stay deeply rooted in what you believe in, and just know that, when you're deeply rooted, it doesn't matter whatever storm comes, whatever kind of storm, pick a storm, you'll be okay because you're deeply rooted.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to hold tight to your core common principles. And then the next for me is, I always like them grandmama analogies, right? Uh, you know, so, back in the day, when it was thundering and lightning and it was bad weather out there, the grandmamas would say, "Hey, boy, y'all get in there, turn them TVs off, turn everything off. Y'all get somewhere and sit still."
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I think, in our life, the ability for us to be able to have quiet and sit still in the midst of the storm, in the midst of the change, it allows us to weather that storm, because now you can really be hyper focused in on, okay, what are my actions that I'm going to take to make sure that I make it out on the other side of this the proper way. And then the last thing for me, I think it allows you, as you're doing that, it allows you to grow through what you're going through. And I'm gonna say that again. It allows you to grow through what you're going through.
That's
and
good.
so, again, there's blessings in every lesson. We just have to find what those blessings are, and so that when we come out on the other side again, we're better for us have going through that change, through that adversity, through that what we've grown through, and now on the other side of it, we're better for others and those, for ourselves, yeah. And we learn so much about ourselves, but it allows us to grow and be the best version of ourselves for the people that we love and care about.
Man, that's so good. That's so good, Chip, man.
You.
How you kind of broke that down like that.
Yeah.
Face, pretty much you said face it, like embrace, like look at the man in the mirror,
Yeah.
try to figure out, self-reflect, how you can make some adjustments. Those are all the points that you made, man, are so like concise and like, okay, how can I get through this particular storm? You got to do some self-reflecting. Well, one key thing that I got from that was that you're not doing a whole lot of blaming. You're not doing blaming. And I think through the storm, there's a tendency to do some blaming. There's a tendency to get worried, to fear, to get fearful, to get anxious, to get angry and bitter. And so, those are sometimes the emotions that come out of us when we're going through a challenging moment, a changing moment, a storm in our lives. And so I think that's so key, man. And when you talk about the storm, that kind of brought up this, scripture reference in my mind, man. And we'll maybe think about this point here is that Jesus gave his disciples a promise on one occasion, and he told them that we're going to the other side, right? Let us go to the other side, get in this boat, and now they're traveling in the storm. And when he gives them this promise, after the promise is made, now they start having some pain, some suffering, because the storm comes into their life. And so when they're seeing the storm, they're being hit and they're getting frightened and they're getting fearful and they're worried, right? But like you said before about being able to be still, Jesus is literally asleep. He's asleep during the midst of the storm, right? And they go to Jesus and they say, "Hey, Jesus, do you not care that we're perishing about this storm?" And then Jesus wakes up and he says, basically, "Oh, ye of little faith." He calms the storm. He said, "Peace, be still," right? And so that's so important for me to understand that even though I may not understand the plan all the time, I can trust the promise. See, the promise that Jesus gave was that we're going to the other side, right? We're going to the other side. And so even through all of the changes, through all the transition, I still can trust the promise, even in the midst of all of the changes, and even in the midst of me not understanding the plan. I can trust that. I can trust that promise, man. And so it's a faith thing. It's really a faith thing when you're going through some changes and some transition. And it's challenging because a lot of times we don't. Faith demands us to grow. Faith demands for us to grow. You know, we cannot have a self-pity party when we have faith. We cannot say, woe is me, when you have faith. You have to birth a different version of yourself when you have this level of faith. And so I think it's so key that we stay focused on the promise, even when we don't understand the plan. And so man, that's key for me. When things are difficult, when things are changing, when you don't have a grasp of everything, just trust the promise, control what you can control, and leave the rest to God, man. So going through the storm, we all gonna have to go through a storm, but trusting God in the midst of it all, I think it's key, man. It's you gotta have faith when you're going through that storm. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. I think, just hearing, everything that you've pretty much talked about, I think, and I'm gonna repeat this, I may not have the plan, but I can trust the promise. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it allows, when I hear you say that, and also everything that you hit on, it really makes me hone in on the focus. Like what is your focus? What are you focusing on in the midst of that? And again, I'm gonna go like camera with you. Sometimes, if you're trying to take a picture of something, i.e. getting through your change, you have to have the right focus so that you see the picture clearly. And so, in our lives, you have to have the right focus so that you see the picture clearly, which will allow you to get on the other side of that and handle that change or adversity. And really, just hearing you talk about that, it made me just reflect on situations that I've been in my life where, things were really, really tough, right? I mean, like super tough, or there were adversities against me, just lots of tough things. But the freeing thing that really helped allow me to be free in the situation is the ability to really just look myself in the mirror and say, okay, what are you responsible for in this?
Come on, Chip.
And I think when you can really just focus in on, okay, what are you responsible for in this situation? Okay, now, if you've made some choices or decisions that have held you back, now you can begin to heal, because now you're taking responsibility for your actions.
Yeah.
And so now it will allow you to inch yourself back to where you need to be, because you realize, hey, man, I blew that. I made some mistakes on that. Ooh, I need to be better on that.
There's momentum in that, right? You get momentum. You get momentum by taking those small steps, those small steps of what you can control, taking responsibility. You gain momentum. I love it, man. I love that.
Man, big time. And that's why I said inch your way through, because it's not going to happen where you say, oh, this happened, boom, I'm over it.
Yeah.
Like it don't happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. And so you have to inch your way through. And like you said, as you do that, you'll gain that momentum, and organically all the other stuff, like what the other people have done or the situations that are out of your control, like organically, like you begin to not even think about those things, because you're hyper focused on, okay, what do I need to do to recover and get better through this change?
That's good, man. That's so good. Focus, responsibility, creates that momentum for just to get through the day. And sometimes things can be so tough where that's all you can focus on. It's like, how can I get through the hour? Ooh. How can I get through this day? You know what I mean? And in any other day outside of today will just be so overwhelming to my
Yeah.
spirit to think about. Some changes are this coronavirus is impacting us financially, it's impacting people emotionally, spiritually, so and not just to target in on the coronavirus, but I know that's something we all can relate to right now because we're all in it. But any type of change, any type of adversity, like what you talked about, is so key to stay focused, to be responsible of what can I control, what can I do right now. And I think from those two things, it will create the momentum that we desire, and we'll begin to see some changes in our lives. But thinking, right now, it's so key to do that, because I think what that allows us to do is that we won't get so stuck on what will happen on tomorrow, but it'll
Yeah.
give us the strength and the clarity to focus on how we should operate in the now. Like, how do I need to focus? How do I need to operate right now, today? Because I have that focus. I have that understanding of taking responsibility, and it's going to create a momentum for me, man. So I love that. I love it. Yeah.
And to add on that too, man, I want to hit this because it's really kind of burning with me inside, brewing. I want to make sure I share this. I think too, and I hit on it earlier, and the ability to say no to some things allows you to say yes to some things that are very important to you. And so what we have to do is, and I'm speaking from personal experience, not just saying, hey guys, do this. Like, no. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm living too.
Right.
I think it's important to really just hone in and do the best you can with what you have right now. And when you're able to do that, just like you said, you'll take baby steps, young grasshopper. You'll be able to take those baby steps, and before you know it, man, you're sprinting and enjoying the race, right?
Yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah. Well, man, again, always, man, so thankful to hang out with you and do topic sessions, how to handle change, steps to get you through change and adversity. Great stuff. Always appreciative of you taking the time to share your knowledge and your nuggets.
I always appreciate the opportunity. I always appreciate just being able to chop it up with you, man. You have such a sincere spirit about you. And I know people probably say that already about you, man. So that's why it makes this thing so easy, as well. I appreciate that, brother.
Oh yeah, thank you, my man. Well, thank you guys for checking out this topic session. My hope and prayer is that you will be able to take something from it and just use it in your life to help you be the best version of yourself. And while you're going to get it, how about that? All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Take care. God bless. Go get it.